So jump on with me. So we're in the cool part. We're gonna wrap up this month, hopefully, and then start prepping you guys for a test. And that's where it all kind of comes together. So we're in phase 4, and then we're also gonna do the lightning flow, but I'm gonna go through it kind of quickly because this is it's good. Well, it's good stuff, and everybody loves automation. It's also pretty advanced for the basics, right? I mean, let's say you can't do it. And again, I'm going to minimize my chat. So if you do chat me, let me know because I won't see it because I only have one screen and I can't see it. So I'll put in the chat the link to this lightning flow. So again, we talked about the automation tools that are there. So Salesforce, even at the Essentials edition, has automation tools that are just super powerful. So lightning flow is the 2 tools that are lightning based. That's Process Builder and Flow Builder. We did Process Builder last class, and we kind of got in the weeds on it. When that video loads up, I'll add it to the playlist. I'm catching up this week on all of that stuff, and I'll still be catching up with it the whole way. But it's about mapping out what you want to have happen, and so here's what I love about Process Builder. When you understand how Process Builder works, you really start to understand how you're supposed to work with Salesforce. So as a user of Salesforce, when certain data is true, it should trigger an action. Now that's the rule in automation. So if something triggers true, notice what happens in the flow. I want to look at an opportunity under these conditions. And if it meets these criteria, then if that's true, it triggers an action, just like a validation rule triggers an action. But the action a validation rule triggers is to stop the save because there's invalid data. Data that doesn't match what your company says should be. So the same thing happens with Process Builders. So when you understand this, you start to impact your own personal productivity with Salesforce. So when the record is in this condition, I need to take this, and this action now and wait a certain amount of time and maybe do some action later. Then I can either reevaluate it or I can, call that record done or complete. So automating simple business processes, make sure that you complete that one. Now, the Flow Builder is the next one in this particular trail called Lightning Flow. Now, the reason I think this is beyond the basics is because it's a much more complex series of if-then statements. And that's really what you're doing. You're saying, hey, when you start this flow, go get a record that matches this, and then check it to see if it matches that. If it does, skip to step 3. If not, right? So you got elements, you got connectors, and you got resources. Resources being those containers that represent a given value. So elements are the little boxes on the canvas. Connectors are where they go next. So if you've ever done any mind mapping, this is the technical version of mind mapping, right? You should always build this on paper in the real world first, map out, and then see if you have the data elements that actually fulfill on the request. So, like field values, formula values, you can even reference those resources throughout your flow. So for example, on this account, so you want to get a record on this account and then constantly match values against that account. You need to hold that account reference in the screen. So in the flow itself, right? Because it's like you're having a conversation with the computer and you're going through a path to make something happen. So in order to do anything with a computer, you got to know where you're at, where you're going to go, and then you have to figure out if you're on the right path to get there, right? So elements have 4 different categories. So the first one is the screen, and that is, what do you have on the screen? Like, so for example, the user might see just like a little form. They don't know, they just see the form. But as they fill out the form, as they click next, that will change based on the answers they've already given. So it takes you down a guided path that eliminates variability as you collect those variables. And then you could build out your custom Lightning components, which bring data back in, make things happen. So if you say yes or if you say no, then it brings up different answers. Again, it's a script. So every good telemarketing script has a, if they say yes, say this. If they say no, say that, right? Whatever the interactions are. Same kind of thing. The logic controls the flow of, well, your flow. So there's branches, update loops, loop over sets of data, waits, action, that kind of thing, right? Actions do something when you have all the information you need. So that's really true about really using Salesforce, isn't it? If you're looking at a record and you're trying to do some behavior like send an invoice, you got to make sure that you got all the data collected, or schedule that speaking engagement, or book that resource for a job interview, right? Well, do you have the resource's email address? Do you have their phone number? Did you confirm with them? All those things. Did they accept the invitation? All of those things will indicate either data or no data, or incorrect data, right? So you can look at that data and assess to go, that's not right, or that is right, to move forward. So it's one of the same things that I do when I'm teaching list views and how to end users really use their list views. It's when you really understand how to build a list view, what you're doing is you're pulling up a set of records that fit a particular criteria that you can work with all the same. So another way to look at it is like, this is a stop on this step, a stage of the assembly line. And whatever stage of the assembly line you're working on, all of the records that meet that criteria should be at that stage available while you're doing that work. So for example, you're doing follow-up calls. Well, every record that needs a follow-up call should be on that list, so you can make the calls and move it to the next line, depending on how that call went. Did they answer? Did they not answer? Did they talk to you? Did they not talk to you? Did they answer your questions in a positive way, or did they answer them in a negative way? Boom, boom, boom. Some things you can only do right now because, maybe it's 10 o'clock at night and you're just trying to get the records ready so that in the morning when you make the calls, they'll be ready to go. Now, you can, flows can do everything Process Builder can do and then some. And if it doesn't work with the tools available, you can always go to the next level, which is Apex. So this is kind of a advanced or an intermediate skill beyond the basics, but I want you to be aware of it. Now, integrations in the flow actually connect your flow to external databases using Apex Actions. So that's when you've taken it to the next level, but you can do that. So when you build your flow, there's a button bar along the top that you can check out the flow and how it works. There's all of the canvas where you build the flow, where your decision trees live. And this is, again, flow charting. If you're not familiar with any of this stuff, flow is going to be extremely difficult. But if that kind of thing. So I don't want to go down that tunnel too much because it's not part of the basic certification, but it is part of the day-to-day operations. I don't use flow all that much because I don't really operate on people's Salesforce that much. Now, the toolbox is all those sets of elements that you can drag and drop onto the screen. You can zoom in, zoom out, zoom to fit. In Windows, that is, in order to see or navigate your flow, just notice what it is. Now, in this example, we're supposed to add a screen to collect user input. That is like a form. So, I'm gonna make the call. Gosh, this is so good stuff. But like, this is a great one of you, Julia, like how do you get somebody to upload their resume, right? Or how do you get a customer to upload something in your, let's say you've got design for a customer's logo or whatever data you need from them, right? I'm trying to think of all you guys that are on here that have stuff in here. So let's see who's in here right now. We got Brian, we got Amy, we got Jules is twice. Okay, perfect. And I'm just trying to look at this to see how much time this will take. Wow, this is a lot. And you can add this to your homepage. This is a very, very, very detailed challenge. The fact that it takes 30 minutes is hilarious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to complete this challenge on your own with your buddy, because it's beyond the basics. And I'm going to look to see what this one looks like. I didn't go. So I'm going to create that as an assignment to complete that on your own. Or, and then do it on your own and then reach out with your buddy to see how it works. But ultimately, if you don't do this stuff every day, knowing it's there is really all you need enough. That's all you really need. So, Process Builder and Flow do work together. And this is another one of those where it gives you a couple of ideas about, Process Builder alone won't do this. Flow alone won't do it, but the combination of the two will. So, and again, it's beyond the basics. And there's really, when you get into topics like this with Salesforce, the truth of the matter is there's somebody out there in the community that does this all the time. And because they do that all the time, good. Good, I could close that, let it do its thing, and then we'll be good to go. So, find, connect, and look for people. There's a couple places I think I told you to look for it. One is at help.salesforce.com. There's the answers community. There's a ton of people who like swag, so they get out there and they're actively, I'm in and out. I sometimes do it, sometimes I don't, there's screen flows. Anyway, so it's people are out there that do this all the time, and they do it so much they love helping people when they have questions about it. You can always also follow the trail, but inevitably your business needs something a little different. So when you build a process, part of the process could include, part of your automation could include a process builder, and then then you could build a flow that automatically kicks off, which is what they called a auto launch flow. So it runs in the background like a process. So they kind of act like an Apex class action, but they're not, and I'm not a developer to get all that deep in the weeds about it. So you could have, but again, flows take in variables, like based upon the data you're entering, not data that's saved. So it collects data sort of in the cloud. You could have, none of this is on the test, so I don't want to spend too much time with it, but I do want to give you the ability to kind of, let's see, so the steps are in there. Let's see. So the basic idea behind combining the two is that you move records that might go through a process and have some variation. And when they go through that variation, it allows for those variables to take place, so that you can complete this down the road. Now, I obviously completed this myself, but you'll need to do that as well and take the quiz. So I can't demonstrate this. Oh, I know how to do it. But again, it's not on the test, and I don't want to get on the weeds, but there's not a perfect set of trails that just prepare you for the test, except the one that I will share with you later on, which you'll see you've got a lot already completed so far. So when I go to this challenge, it wants to know a record variable can store, let's see, a set of field values for a single record. Yes. A set of field values for multiple records that have the same object type. Nope. A set of field values for multiple records that have multiple object types. No. It's going to be A, pretty certain. Yeah, it's a record value. That's why they call it record values instead of a record collection variable. Right? So there's that. So that's a good, and I can't wait to start getting into the test with you. I'll send some videos of some older tests. You can watch me explain, but we're going to take a test together next month and start prepping so that as a matter of review. Plus, we'll pick up anything we didn't cover before and you have questions on it. Hopefully, you get your hands on it and really get your finger memory to some of this stuff. Process and a flow. You want to clone a record and its children. B is definitely sure. Delete a related record. Absolutely. So the answer would probably be B and C. And I'm sure Gil will take the test real quick and tell me. Inside a loop, you should avoid executing actions, assigning new values of B for sure. Displaying data to the user. No, that's fine. Nesting another loop. No, that's fine. No. So B would be the one I would eliminate if you were. I don't think it's sort of an advanced admin test anyway. So there you go. I don't know if somebody's taken it. I'm gonna look and see if somebody put it in the chat. Nope. Okay. But I want to say the answers are A, D, and B. That's what I'm going to say, A, D, and B. And I can't take it because I got to log in to take the quiz. I don't want to take it. I don't want to do it that way. All right. Any questions? I mean, I just want to give you a high level view of it because just understand what automation can do. What's more important is really the order of execution, which we'll talk about in a minute. Maybe. I think we'll talk about it. All right. So approvals are kind of on the test, but approvals are basically built out of workflow rules, which are the older version of automation. So approval, this is a good record because it actually does teach you a little bit about workflow rules, which are the basics to understand. This is a little above basic, link right at intermediate, not advanced administrator. But approval processes are just what they say. They're a set of processes that you take to approve certain actions, changes to a record. So it automates how they're approved, and basically you specify what happens to a record at each step of the approval process. So you can set the conditions that require approval. You can set whatever the criteria. So let's take an easy example. I want to approve it. If a discount is over 10%, like you might give a salesperson leeway up to 10%, but over 10%, it requires a manager's approval. But over 15%, it will require the VP's approval. So you see those series of business rules can be applied to your basic opportunity being submitted, closed, won, and then approved, right? So it's all a series of behaviors and outcomes to determine whether or not a customer, your internal processes are matching your business policies. So if you create, let's say, somebody has a time off request, and you would automatically just put in the time you want off. It would go to your manager, and then they would approve it. But if it's not approved, or if it is approved, there's actions you would take upon approval or rejection. Maybe you rejected it because the policy is no more than 5 days off in a row, 2 weeks in a row, and that's a 2-week vacation, and that takes a different approval process, right? So those kind of things, right? So there's something called the initial submission actions, the approval actions, so whether it's approved or rejected at each step. So does it need to be, if it gets rejected, does it go back to, the person that approved it last, or does it go back to the submitter? You kind of tell them all of those things. And then what happens when the final approval occurs? Who gets told what, right? What calendar gets blocked with your unavailability, all that kind of basic stuff. So there's the initial submission actions, initial, the approval steps, along with what happens with approval and rejection, and then final rejection or final approval actions in order to fulfill what it is you're doing. So, so you got to understand what you're trying to approve, and then do you have the data you need collected on the record that requires approval? So you gotta plan all this out to say, what do I need, how, and when. So do you also track the approval status? Now we take a custom field. Do you need to request approval from managers when a discount is more than X percentage, and you need some rules involved in that, and the notification, so you need templates. And then the approval actions, and you need templates and notification templates for all of this. So one of the things that you have to build is really, you got to build it on paper first. And then it really starts with the email template, to create the templates first, because you never want to get in, or you never want to get started with automation without all of your communication templates first. So that's why mapping it out is, hey, we got your order. We're gonna review it to make sure that we've got, everything in stock. And then you can set up classic email templates for this. And you might say, well, what's the difference? Well, we haven't really gone into it much. Classic email templates live inside, or the ones you use for workflow. And you need to create a template to notify the manager that there's an approval waiting. And then you have to notify, and then you have to create all your other tools in order to make it happen. So I think this exercise, this is the first one, we talked about it. Let's go ahead and do it. So I'm going to go down to my challenge so I can launch my, playground. Yeah, come on. All right. All right, get that guy out of the way. Gal, guy, dude, I'm going off that. All right, so let me get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. There we go. Okay, so let's go back up and let's follow these steps, because I'm sure it's going to require them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an email template. So once we have our playground launched, we're going to go to setup. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it smaller. So that I can make this one screen and larger. Now, Lightning hates to be squished. So I want to create a little overlap here. So I got that. So I can see some of what I got going on, but I don't lose it there. So if those use single screeners. Now, follow along. If you get stuck, let me know. We're going to go with classic email template. And I like plain text emails anyway. I don't like using letterhead. We're going to create a new template. You see that right in the middle of the screen. So if you're trying, I'm going to tell you this. If you're trying to follow me with one screen, this happened all the last 2 weeks with Johnson Controls, and I finally figured out to tell people this statement. And I wish I'd remembered that they needed it, but if you're dealing with one monitor, it's near impossible to watch me and do the steps. If you're watching the video afterwards to follow, and you could stop, start, that's fine. But I'm going to talk you through the steps if you want to just listen for it, or you could just follow the steps on your own and just watch if you want. But really, it's going to take you getting your hands on it, because what I'm clear about is one of the challenges of this class, doing it spaced repetition over time, is that yes, while you can absorb it in short bits, you've got to go work on it in between in order to have it stick. So anyway, so I clicked on setup. I went to home, typed in the word classic in my quick find, and now I'm on classic email templates, and I'm going to click new template. And now I'm going to choose a text template, but notice there are basically two types of formats, text and HTML. And notice HTML without a letterhead is you using your own code to develop your pretty letterhead, your pretty emails, or you use the structured code in using the letterhead. Now, Visualforce is just Salesforce's name for HTML. So it's all HTML, except Visualforce is a little different. It's pulling in data from the Force.com platform. We're going to choose text because notifications are better if they're texty. So we're going to call this template. We're going to put it in a folder. So unfiled public folders are where you want to put all of your automation templates. Why? Because depending on the recipe of who's in there, it's just better that. Now, available for use will always get you stuck if you don't pay attention to that. And then the unique name will automatically copy and take out all the spaces for you. Now, a description is always a good idea, right? Especially if your name is generic. So it tells your future self, what's up? So that, because you're not going to remember down the road, right? Just assume you're talking to your goldfish self, right? The goldfish, I learned this from a buddy of mine who's a school teacher, so he tends to know this, I guess. Goldfish have about a 6-second memory and about a 6-second window of looking forward. So they live in this little 12-second bubble, right? There's 6 seconds of life has just happened, and they're looking ahead for the next 6 seconds, and that's basically it. Don't do that to yourself. Descriptions are for your future goldfish. So they can, oh, that's what I'm doing, right? And then, so I'm just going to take and paste that in the body, but let's look and see what we did. So the template, the way it got these are your merge field, right? So you could put spaces and make it, and you could make this look any way you want, depending on how it shows up, and get feedback from people, right? But these fields, the user's manager, where did that field come from? Right here, if you look at all the different objects you can pull from, this is like one monster spreadsheet if you were doing a mail merge from Excel. But like I was telling my class for the last 2 weeks, different data is treated differently. So we use it differently. So my user fields, right, is all of those fields on the user record. And that's my manager. And that's how I got user manager. You could add anything else you want in here. I got the opportunity name. Now, I got to tell you, I would put a link to the file just to be certain. So here, I would say the opportunity. And then I would choose link, the detail link, right? So that I'm giving them what they need. Here's a link. Because I don't know where they're going to be when they get this message. And then I'm going to hit save. Hopefully it doesn't, like, I think it's better to put the link than it is to put the opportunity name, just because it's my experience doing that. You do what you want. Now, you could also, we added the manager. We can add some custom fields so that we can track that discount approval percentage and approval status for each opportunity. So we can, I mean, again, especially you guys, I know Brian and Amy using the Essentials Edition, you're limited on the number of objects you can create. So you got to create fields that represent some kind of combination. So you can create like a virtual record type, or, you know, if it's on an opportunity that, like Brian, I know it might be a speaking engagement opportunity versus a product or an ACE or some of those other things that are available, you could trigger off of those other bits of data. You just got to collect it on the detail record of the opportunity, because that's what's in the sales conversation. Or create another opportunity, clone one for speaking, and then create an opportunity for, you know, all the other pieces and parts, and then pull them all together for something else. This is a really, could be a complex way to do it. We'll see. Or just spend another $50 a month per user. It's easier. All right, so we're going to add some fields. And I think in this one, we're going to go to the object manager. And we're going to go to the opportunity one. And we're going to create those fields called discount percent. So because it's a field, we're going to create a percent field. So I'm in the opportunity object manager field and relationships. We're going to create a percent field. So just scroll down and click next, and then we'll call this discount percentage. So we'll leave the length and decimal default. 18%, 18 digits is way too much, but you know, doesn't matter. So now it's asking for that field to be required. Now, I don't like this, but I want to be graded and successful. I'm telling you, does anybody remember what making a field required does? What does it do to the field when it's required? All right, well, let's click next and find out. So the first thing that it does is it makes it visible for all profiles. Notice how visible is checked for all profiles. And you cannot make that read only. Why? Because any record that any one of these users ever accesses in an opportunity record, everybody's got to be able to see that record because you made that field required. So that's a bad way to do it, especially if you're trying to add privacy to your data model. This example says we have no privacy in our opportunities. Therefore, everybody must be able to see an opportunity record. If they see one, they see all. So required fields really do screw up your security model. That's all right. It's not what we're testing. So we're going to let it go. But we're not going to let it go without saying some stuff about it. All right. The next thing is it has to be added to the page layout. Notice I can't take it off. So every page layout needs to see that field. So there's not a, now you might be able to hide records from them. It's fine. But you can't hide that field, and it's got to be on every page layout. Notice that, right? So in your click memory, if you do these exercises enough, sooner or later, some of the details about what happened, and then try different variables, see what happens. Okay, so we created an email template. We created the field. Now we can create an approval process, because we have to have something to kick the approval process. You don't need to approve a full retail price anything. As a matter of fact, I was, who was it? Let me think about this for a second. somebody with, I don't know, it might just be in my brain. All right. So now we're going to hit the home tab in the setup menu. So from setup, we're going to click home and type in approval. If you've been searching for approval your whole life, here it is. Yep, it's coming. I typed it. All right. So now, approval processes are, we're going to do this for the opportunity object, right? Why? Because that's what we're looking to approve, an opportunity. But you could really do it on almost any record that you feel like you need to have an approval process. So there's a wizard that does it. And we're going to use the Jumpstart wizard. I don't really know the difference between the two because I don't do them that much. So we're going to call this one approve opportunity discount because that's what's on the screen. And it automatically fills in the name. Now we have to have that email template. So you see where it really comes into play? And again, I don't have to type the whole thing out. It's a lookup field, which means it's going to search for anything that matches. And boom, there it is. In unfiled public classic email templates, that's the one that showed up. Now, what's the criteria? That's why we created the field. So again, you could create a filter. This is that's why I say lists contain filters. There's filters everywhere. So this is straight up data filter. If this, then that. If these fields match these values, then go ahead and kick it up. Now, you can also write a formula that really encompasses a lot more detail. But we're just going to do something really simple. So the discount percent, that field we created, is greater than 0.4. Why are they giving away the store? Okay. Now, so a couple of choices you can make that let the submitter choose the approver manually. It's a typical child response. You're gonna ask mom, you're gonna ask dad. Well, or you could automatically assign the approver, or you could choose who it is based on if you have the hierarchy built. So we're just gonna let the submitter choose in this case because it makes for an easy one. All right, so now you gotta you saw that, right? You read that, you gotta activate it. We created a one-step approval process. So it's got a couple other recommendations that we fill out. And so we're going to view the approval process detail page, like you just created it from scratch. So notice a couple of things that are on here. There's edit. You can edit name, entry criteria, the approval field, notification templates, approval page layout, initial submitters, clone it, delete it, or activate it. So under final approval actions, we are going to go down. So we just, again, you can look at this. So there are 4 actions. So this section is the initial submission action. The first thing that happens in the approval process is the record is locked from being edited, right? Why? Because you can't approve something that's changing. You got to approve what it is, the way it is, or reject it. That's it, not maybe. It's a yes, no thing. Now there's 4 actions you can take. That's what add new action is. These are the 4 actions. These are the same 4 actions that are in workflow. You can create a task. You can send an email alert. You can update a field, or you can send an outbound message, which is not an email. It is a API call, HTTP post or something like that, right? So you can definitely kick that out. Now, there's a special little thing that happens with the task. In workflow and in approvals, a task can only be assigned to one user. So if you're assigning a task to a role, that has more than one user, this is on the test. So Salesforce does not play well with ambiguity. It only plays well with certainty because Salesforce has to work. It is driven by looking good. Plus, it's not got to work because that's what the promise is. And it's also driven by trust. So for Salesforce, if you create a task that could be assigned to more than one person, either open up your mic or in the chat, tell me what you think would happen. What's Salesforce to do if you got to create a task and Salesforce gets confused? So let's make sure you understand what's happening. You're submitting an opportunity. You're the owner of that opportunity record. You submit it for approval. Part of the approval process is to assign a task to someone related to that record, but there tends to be two people in that bucket that it's trying to assign it to. Where do you think it's going to assign that task? This is where you talk or you ask questions. You say, I don't know, or I know, but I don't want to tell you, or I got kids in the background, or I'm farting a lot and I can't handle this. Pressure.
Can you ask the question again?
Okay, so I got to assign a task to the sales manager, but for some reason there's two sales managers in that role somewhere. There's different roles that it could be. What would Salesforce do to assign that task? If it didn't know if there's more than one person to assign a task to, who would it assign the task to?
The leader, whoever the leader is.
That's a good guess. It's wrong, but it's a good guess. It really does make sense, right? We'll go to their manager and assign it to them. But what really, think about that for a second. Like, you're going to assign it to the boss's boss. What are they going to, they're going to freak out, right? They don't want to work. Think of MG or the Waldo or somebody like that, or me. You're going to assign me something instead of the person I hired to handle it, right? The thing about that's a typical reaction. So who would it go back to? Now it's your thing. Let's see a good example. Here it is. You're a kid and the cop, let's see. You have a task to get your tag renewed. And it says, give this to your parent, but you got two parents. So who owns the task? If Salesforce doesn't know which parent to assign it to because there's two of them, who would then get the task? Just say two managers, two people in that one role.
Both.
No, it can't do both. Sorry, can't give it to both parents. They're split. Got to give it to one or the other, but it can't. Salesforce can't decide who can.
Alphabetical?
Nope. Good try.
Would it be the opportunity owner?
It's right. The owner of the record that caused the confusion. So it always goes back to the owner of the record. When in doubt, it goes to the owner. So that's just, it happens to be on the test. It's not with work, it's with workflow, not approval process, but it works exactly the same. Salesforce will always default to the certain answer all the time. So think about this. We talked about, we talked about the roles on opportunities. So let's say you've got a role called senior consultant, and you, the owner of that opportunity, added two people to your opportunity team, and you gave them both the same role of senior consultant, but only one should have that role. Doesn't it make sense that if a task should be assigned to the senior consultant on any opportunity, and if there's more than one of them, it goes to you, the opportunity owner, to decide which one it should go to? So you get the task, now you got to deal with it, and then reassign it to whoever it belongs to. Does that make sense to you guys? Like the logic of it?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So again, it's a way that Salesforce can assign the task, But if it can't decide who to assign it to, it always rolls back to the owner of the record that triggered the automation. That's only with tasks, and it's always seems to be a question on the test about at least a lot enough of times for me to harp on it like this. Okay, we'll come back. All right, so let's see where we're at next. So under final, so we're saving them, review their process detail page. So now we're looking at the final approval actions, and we want to add a new action, and that is to update a field. So that field, if it gets finally approved, so the name, oh, the name is approved. The field we want to update is the discount percentage stat. Did we create discount percentage status? I don't remember creating discount percentage status. Hang on. Oh, you know what? I forgot to create discount percentage status. Damn. Why'd y'all let me skip that? Okay. So I'm going to create, it won't work anyway, damn it. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to cancel that. I am going to create that in another tab. I'm going to create the pick list value. See, you got to have it all whiteboarded out. I'm going to enter my values. Now, oh Lord. So now I probably got to reload this page. So now in my approval process, I can mark that record approved. So in my final approval actions, I can update the field. Approve opportunity discount. And then the field is my discount percent status. And I want to make it approved. And then hit save. Did that make sense, everybody? If you didn't do it, and you don't do this a lot, don't worry. Just remember the 4 actions that workflow and approval processes can take. There's only 4 actions. So if you think about all the things that Process Builder could have done, like create a new field, create a new record somewhere, do a chatter post, approval doesn't do any of that shit. So only, but the Process Builder can invoke this approval process. Like if all these things apply, you can have it automatically submitted for approval so the user doesn't have to do it. All right. So now when a user clicks submit for approval on an opportunity, it goes through that process. So if the discount percentage is greater than 40, it's got to be discounted. I don't know what you're selling, but I know half the class has worked for a guy or does work for a guy named Waldo. Would he ever approve a 40% discount under any circumstances? Do y'all know?
Got a hard no on that.
So now there is a process that's called submit for approval that you can use to automatically submit a record for approval. That means users don't have to remember. Yep, no problem. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for the heads up. Yep. Okay. So again, it looks a little different in that you've got an action type called submit for approval, which is a brand new action in Lightning Flow. Salesforce is trying to replace Lightning with, I mean, everything classic with Lightning. That includes workflow and automation. So really, Process Builder is how you would do this typically anyway. Let's see if we need to do it. Yeah. Oh no, you just pick the opportunity, the approval process as a core action, that default approval process. So whatever the node kicks out, it'll follow a standard process. Again, let's see how we can. Let's see, local regulation, new customers be approved by the legal team. When a user creates an account that has a type of prospect, they manually submit it for approval by clicking submit for approval on the account. Record is evaluated only if type is prospect and there are more than 500 employees. When the account enters the approval process, type gets set to pending and the record is locked. If approved, type gets set to customer and the record is unlocked. If not approved, it gets set back to prospect and the record's unlocked. So we're going to make sure we've got prospect, customer, and pending in our account objects type field. So let's jump over to our object manager. I don't need this one anymore. I'm going to click on the account object and fields and relationships because I want to check out my account field name type. So I scroll down to type, I click on the word type, and now I'm going to look at the pick list values to make sure I got prospect. I need customer and pending. Now, I'm going to add that to both. I'm going to just add that to the customer record type. I'm going to add it to both just in case. But you really probably don't need it for vendor, but hey, why not? Maybe they're a customer too. Okay. I don't know. Okay, let's see what our requirements are. So we're going to create a new approval process. So I'm going to go back to home in the setup menu, type in approval. What I think is funny is they keep pitching Lightning Process Builder, but they keep demonstrating. So we're going to create a new jump start, and we're going to do it on the account object. So again, you can approve anything. So any email template will do. And for this one, my account type equals, because it's a pick list value, and my screen hates, because it's a pick list value, I can actually go look up and see which one it is. Okay. Then I'm gonna, and I need to make sure that the account employee size. Now, it says greater than, but in reality, it should be greater than or equal to. Because if they've got 500 or 501, that's what? Okay, so if they should have 500 or more means greater than or equal to. But we're going to go, in order to get it approved, it's got to be exact when we submit. And we're going to automatically assign to approver. And then I'm going to choose myself as the approver. Now here's where it gets fun. when multiple approvers are selected, this is where you decide if approver reject is on the first response or if it requires unanimous responses from everybody. So anybody that rejects it, you can handle the rejection actions. But if any one of many people could approve it, then the first one to approve it wins. We're going to leave it at that because it doesn't say to make any changes. It's a warning message. I hope you read it. It says it's got to be activated. So now we're going to go down and we're going to view the process detail page. And we're going to do final approval action is we're going to add a new field update. And we got to copy that. They didn't put it in the same font that they always do. So account type, let's see if I got a space taken out of there. Yep, that would have killed it. And that's going to be on the type. And then I'm going to put my value. Why is it on the opportunity? Cancel. Did I pick the wrong object? All right, I'm going to start over. I think I screwed this one up, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay, I'm going to create a new approval process. I'll approve new account. This way you can do it twice. All right. Let's see if I got it right this time. Why is it going to my opportunity? Because I chose opportunity. Duh. Okay. So let me go back to my opportunity. That's what I did. I made the mistake. So let me, if that's what I was doing wrong, sorry about that. I overlooked the very first selector. My bad. Nobody caught it. So that ought to work better this time. Account type to customer. Account type prospects. Like, why is that working that way? Because I doofed up. That's why. Turns out. And automatically assign to me. See, that all looks so much better. Mud, dust, and yeah, as we say down in the South. Yeah. Now on final approval actions, I can do a field update. And now my final approval actions setting. I can edit that and unlock the record for editing now that it's a customer. Now, what if it's rejected? Wait a minute. Initial submission action. Did we do that one? Not yet. Oh, so we add a new field. It is a field update. And this one's called account type depending. This is like managing a phone call if you've ever done this. This is how phone calls work. So my account type equals pending. No. Where did I use that? Thank God for that. Okay. So let me look at my initial. Sorry, if you guys are following along, you're probably mad right now.
I'm not mad. I'm having issues too, honestly.
Take a little bit. You got to slow down, and I'm not accustomed to that. Okay. So we'll look at it together in just a second. So my initial submission actions are to lock the record from being edited. Then I'm going to update the field account type to pending. Then step one is to send the approval to Dominic Karuba. My final approval is on approval. My final approval action is to unlock the record and change the field to type. My final rejection is to add a field update that turns that customer back to a prospect. They need more work, more time, more something. Right? So we're going to put them back to prospect. I would actually change them to prospect X strike one or something, but you know, that's just me. Now that that's done, I can activate this approval process and then check my challenge and go from there. So as you go through this, just follow the instructions and let me know if you get it. Does that make sense on what we did? So we have an approval process that kicks off when an account is ready. When a sales rep says, "Hey, I'm ready to," and Julie, you might do it with an application, right? I'm ready to approve this resume to be one of our candidates. Boom. And there you go. So you lock down the record, you update, what I call it, approve. Yeah, my process needs to be named approve new account. Of course it does.
Dominic, I'm trying to find the part where it's like you enter the criteria for the type.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
Thank you.
Okay. So if you were to create it from scratch, I think in the wizard, it would be step 2. So the criteria would be, so you got to probably go back to edit. Let me save this process. So let me just start back at the beginning. So when I'm looking at my approval processes, I'm looking at the approval processes for account, right? And then my active approval process is approve the new account. Now I can't edit it. I can't make any changes unless I deactivate it. Now this is a good lesson to learn. Why can't I make changes to a process while it's active?
Because there could be processes like in the middle of being processed.
That's
and then
right.
they mess them up.
That's right. So you've got to deactivate a process so nobody can submit while you're there, because that would make Salesforce look bad if it didn't work. So remember, Salesforce, you got to keep that in frame in mind. Salesforce is going to always design things so that it works, which is a good thing to know about Salesforce. Not everybody does that. Okay. So now, Jules, I'm gonna just hit edit on mine, and then once you hit edit, if you haven't activated it yet, the next step would be to change the criteria. So the criteria is account type equals prospect and account employees are greater than 500. Did you get that?
Yeah, I did. I guess on my error message, it says when an account is submitted for approval, the process doesn't set the correct type value. So I thought that this would be wrong, but I have the same thing.
So what that tells me is, let me go back to here. Yay, I did that. So what that tells me is this. So what is the error message you got when you check the challenge?
It says when an account is submitted for approval,
Yep.
the approval process does not set the correct type value.
Okay.
I
So
can put it into the chat too.
look at, well, I got it. So it's look at your 3 different action steps. So initial submission. Let's take a look at your approval process for a second. So the initial submission, is it record lock and field update account type depending? That's the first thing you gotta check.
Yep.
Okay, let's go down approval steps. Step 1, assign to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then rejection behavior is final rejection versus, next rejection. Then is that the same as mine?
Yep.
All right, what about final approval actions? Record lock is unlock and field update is account type to customer. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now what about final rejection actions? Is it record lock is unlocked and field update is account type to prospect?
Yes.
And it might be up here. So does your entry criteria account type equals prospect and account employees greater than 500? Go back up to the top. And let's look at first off, is it approved new account and is it active?
Oh, I didn't activate it yet.
There you go. That's it. Boom. Should have started at the top, but I was going off something else. So you triggered me to go down there. All right, everybody else good to go? Woohoo! All right, so that completes the lightning flow section. Now I do want you to go and in the trail mix, those earlier sessions, go ahead from lightning flow and finish that on your own if you're really interested in it. If not, need to worry. Now, I think this process builder goes a little deeper into what we've already covered, but I don't know for sure. So let's go to customize the sales path, because I love the sales path. The path is awesome. And let me put this back in. And let's talk about the path. So when you're in Salesforce and you're on an opportunity, you know what might be coming back? Handkerchiefs. Okay, so what? Huh, there you go. All right. Looks like he's in a flight suit, but not. Okay, how long is this video?
Hi, Trailblazers. My name is Randy King, and I'm a Trailhead Delivery Manager.
All right, Randy, hang on a second. Let me see. Can y'all hear that okay? Or is that, there's something about Zoom when it plays a video. Oh, I got it.
I could hear it fine.
You could. All right. Oh, all right. Perfect. Okay. Let me just see real quick to make sure. I'm going to share my, let's see if this is any better. Okay.
Salesforce. Your company's sales process is unique. With Sales Path, you can bring your sales strategy right into Salesforce, helping sales reps adopt the process and close more deals. Think of Sales Path like a helpful assistant. It gives sales reps guidance and next steps at each stage of the deal. Sales Path works with many objects in Salesforce, but for today's discussion, we're talking about opportunities. An opportunity in Salesforce is your one-stop shop for everything related to the deal you're working to close. On an opportunity record, you'll find information about contacts, the sales team, notes and attachments, and all the details about the deal. And you can configure this page to suit your sales team's needs. There's a lot of good information on one page, but we need a way to share best practices and guidance for sales reps embedded right on the page, and that's where Path comes in. A path is a visual representation of the stages they need to start working through in the sales process. Within these stages, certain activities must be completed for the deal to progress to the next stage. This helps sales reps complete key fields or even alert them to potential gotchas in the sales process. Let's look at an example. This opportunity has been set up with the sales path displayed along the top of the page. Below the path, you'll see tabs for activity, chatter, and details about the opportunity. Along the side, you'll see sections for contact roles related to this opportunity and members of the opportunity team. Paths at the start are standard out-of-the-box stages. Typically, organizations like to customize their stages to align with their sales process. You can customize a path in 2 easy steps. First, set the sales process. This is where you select which opportunity stages appear in your path. Second, configure the sales path. This is where you pick which fields to show and write guided assistance. Along with customizing stages, you can create different paths for different sales teams. For example, processes might differ between inside sales and outside sales, or sales to new customers versus renewals. Tailoring paths ensures that sales reps can make the most of their opportunities. Finally, here are a few best practices for setting up paths. First, work directly with sales managers. Your sales team should have a seat at the table when designing the process. Second, think about naming conventions. This will make it easier for you to maintain paths down the road. Finally, consider rolling out a pilot with a small subset of your sales team before you go all in. Ask your sales team for feedback and make adjustments, then you can roll out the path to everyone. Now it's your turn to build your first sales path.
All right. How was the sound on that? Was it better the second time than the first? Oh, wait. Can you guys hear me okay? Was it better the second time or, wait a minute. Can you hear me at all right now?
It was better the first time for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay. How about you, Jules? Did you notice a
It
difference?
was fine both times. I didn't really notice a difference, honestly.
Okay. It's hard for me to tell just because of the way the way that it did. Anyway, so all right, so this is, by the way, a much bigger conversation than he said it to be. But we're gonna jump in and we're gonna do the sales path. So let's talk a little bit about what this means, because when we type in, actually I'm going to type in process. If you type in process, a couple things show up. You have 3 processes in Salesforce. So when you're in the setup menu, type in from home in the quick find, type in process. So you have a marketing, a sales, and a service process. Forget all the rest. Support processes deal with your cases. Sales processes deal with your opportunities. And lead processes deal with leads and the qualification process, right? So notice you've got stages of an opportunity, but that's not a sales process yet. It's just stages of an opportunity. And because, remember what record types do. Record types allow you to assign page layouts and pick list values to different types of records in the same object. Well, a sales stage is a pick list value, but it's not your normal everyday pick list value. Let me show you this real quick before we go too far. If you go to the opportunity object, and I'm just diverting, if you just want to watch, you can just see it. If you go to the opportunity object, whoops, I got my opportunity object, and I go to the opportunity stages, right? That's a pick list value. It looks just like a pick list value. Prospecting, qualifying, needs analysis, blah, 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 right? But when I add a new pick list value, remember when we added pick list values, it was just the blank box like the description. Now this one here has got 4 other choices. What's the stage name? Didn't expect that. What type of stage is it? Is it an open stage or is it a closed stage? And is it closed won or lost? Why? So that you can report in bulk all your opportunities that are open versus closed, and closed won versus closed lost. So you got 3 lanes to separate it in. You can add a probability, and you can also add a forecast category. Early stages are typically omitted because they're junky opportunities. Pipeline, best case, commit, and close is really how you want to define different stages, especially if you're sharing a process. So it's just in how forecasting works. What opportunity records does it grab from? So this is a much more than a pick list value, even though when you look at the stage field, it just says pick list, but that's not true. But why it's not true is because this is a standard object. It's a lead, an opportunity, or a case, and those fields are different, right? So we're in the sales processes, and now we're going to look and we're going to create a sales process called B2B sales, which is our existing process. All right, so I'm in sales process. I'm going to create it from the master because that's all I got. Then I'm going to paste B2B sales process. And in the description, I'm going to tell myself what this is for, okay? Now, it says value prop, ID, and perception analysis to remove those fields from our stage process. So value prop, ID, and perception analysis, I'm just going to select and click remove so that, my sales process is a little more streamlined. Then I'm going to click save. Now, That's my B2B sales process. Now we're going to stop according to this exercise, and I know why they do it because that's what Salesforce does. In order to use one set of stages over another, you need a record type. Remember? Because for every object, every field that's a pick list has all the same values. But if you want to change the values of a pick list, depending on the kind of record you're using, you got to create a record type. You guys that have essentials, you can't create record types. So we're going to do the record type first, because that's the what do you call it? The way to do it. The way they're asking us to do it. So we're going to call this B2B opportunities. So now I'm going to go to my opportunity object, and I just opened another tab, and I'm going to create a record type. I'm going to create a new, notice I created my sales process first. Yep. That's what you got to do, because you have to have a sales process to pick from. The generic list of stages is not a sales process. Even if you kept all those the same as your B2B sales process, you're fine. You still got to create a sales process first. And the description is used to log and of course, the first record type is always active because you're creating a record type and everybody's got to get it, or at least have access to it. So now we're going to enable that record type. Did I enable it for all profiles or what? Nope, not yet. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, the joy of forgetting to hit the checkbox. First. So I just want it active for my standard user and system administrator. So let me make sure that is how it looks, because that is how it's going to look for it. All right. So standard profile, it's just doing that as a baseline. Doesn't have all the other. Then I'm going to select the page layout, and I'm going to apply it to all profiles. Now, you know, that's just the way that works. Okay. Let's see what the challenge is. Okay, let's verify, see if you got it right. So again, we created the record type so we could add the sales process to it. Notice that the sales process is in the home and the opportunity object contains the record type. Let's see if I got it right according to the knuckleheads who did that. Perfect. So I'll give you a minute to finish that. Let me know when you're done. Okay, everybody good or need more time? So that's the sales path. Did we finish the sales path? No, we didn't finish the sales path. Oh, we created so in customizing our sales path, the first thing we did is we identified our business process. Let's see how this one goes next. I'm not really sure I'm happy with all of this. All right, let's see how long this dude's going to talk this time.
So you just learned that Sales Path is a visual guide helping sales reps through the sales process. Each step on the visual guide is tied to a stage and an opportunity. Stages on an opportunity are the steps in your sales process. You go from talking to the client about their needs, to reviewing a proposal, to negotiating a contract, and then finally closing the deal. Out of the box, Salesforce gives you opportunity stages, but you can configure these stages for your company's needs. Let's look at an example. In this example, we've decided our path should have 5 stages. Then for each of the 5 stages, we show different fields and guidance for success. Guidance for success is like a sign pointing travelers in the right direction. It can include anything, from tips to policy reminders to best practices. It's any material that helps sales reps close their deals quickly. Keep in mind that there's a character limit on each step. You get 1,000 characters per step for guidance for success. And don't forget to work with your sales managers. They will have great ideas for what to include. Now it's your turn to customize the stages and set up guidance for success.
All right. So that's good stuff. We still haven't touched the path yet, but that's all right.
So you just learned that sales.
Yeah, we did. All right. So now we're going to set up the path. That's what I was hoping for. So it says customize opportunity stages, but really we're setting, these things are labeled backwards. These are labeled by people who don't understand sales. So, all right, we're going to go to the sales process again, set up home, and we're going to enter the path. So click on home in the menu and then hit path. Now we're going to go to the path settings. So the path has come a long way, baby, since it was just released when it was released a couple of years ago. So we're going to create a new path. I'm not mistaken. Yeah. First we enable it, and then we're going to create a new path, and then we're going to create the North American path. And we're going to do it on the opportunity object. So look at, we can do it on all these cool things: accounts, campaigns, cases, leads, contracts, contacts, energy audits, leads, opportunities, orders, and projects. Good stuff, man. Path is good stuff. So now we're going to say, well, what record type are we going to use? Well, I'm going to create a path for the record type I just created versus all of them as a default. And then we have to pick what are my pick lists that I'm going to use to describe the path along the top. And I'm going to use my stage. Questions, comments, concerns. Okay. Whoops. I'm going to hit next. Now for each path, under each path, you pick the fields you want to update and any guidance for success. And it's a rich text editor, so you can put anything you want. So we want, under the prospecting tab, account name, expected revenue, lead source, and next step. And I'll show you how to do that. So you click add update fields. And what are we doing again? Account name, expected revenue. So account name, just click and drag. Expected revenue, stupid. All right, sorry. Lead source, doesn't matter, but okay, beginning stage is fine. And next step. I think you can have up to 5. Yep, you can still have up to 5. Let me click save, and life is good. Now, under the guidance for success, I'm just going to copy all of that and paste it here. I'm going to copy this twice and make sure that's got a link on it. Just because I want to make sure it looks like a little linky. So I just created the link on it. No big deal. Let's see if that's everything they want. All right, so qualification path on that step, qualification. So what fields do I want? Well, I want to make sure I got my close date and the amount. Again, let me explain this to you another, well, not really explain it, but let me just say something about this. What you're doing here reflects that at every stage of a process, at every stage, there are behaviors on your part and outcomes that you're looking to produce at every stage. So think about an assembly line, right? You're making pies. First step in the process is to get a pie tin. Can't have a pie without a pie tin. So you got to have the pie tin. Now we're good. We can now put the crust in the pie tin. Now, if you happen to show up one day and all the pie tins have a pre-baked crust on it, then you can step right at stage 2 because you got that work done. But every stage in these process records delineates the work that's got to get done in order to move to the next stage. So there's the work you have to do, and then you record the outcomes that are produced when you do that work with the customer. That completes that stage, and you can move to the next one. It's really hard for people to understand that. It really is. But again, guidance for success. Pop it in there. This is your online just-in-time training. I'm going to make that bold. I'm going to make that. I don't know if this is going to screw it up or not, but you know, come on, man. Make it visually appealing. You got all this stuff to do. Like, for example, I don't know if this is going to kill me or not. We'll see. You can add an image. All right, see what else it wants it to do. Okay, so I got 3 fields to add under needs analysis. So we're building this sucker out. One of my fields, expected revenue, forecast category, main competitors. Okay, these are all things that you should find out in the process. Expected revenue, forecast category, main competitors. There we go. Whatever fields are important that you would find out at this stage in the opportunity. So now, we're going to click next. When users reach a specific, help them celebrate their success on stream. Yeah, activate your path. So do sometimes on the confetti. It's kind of stupid, but I like it. I like stupid sometimes. And now when I look at my opportunity, I don't think this will change to the path because this is not a new opportunity. I have to change the opportunity record type to B2B. Well, yeah, it won't. So if I create a new opportunity, my hunch is this will test it. Oh, go back to my other opportunity. So with this one, can I change record type? Yep, I can. All right, I'm gonna change record type. I'm gonna make it a B2B. It's the only one I got. But when I do that, discount percent, discount percent, pshaw. Don't get no damn discount percent. Now I got a path. Notice, I got path. It's got whatever is in the trail. Oh no, we've got bed pugs. Needs analysis, yeah. Proposal price code is dead. We didn't do anything there. You got everything you need. Just go sick them. And what I think, mark that stage as complete. Mark that stage as complete. I forget which one I put the confetti on. Oh, it didn't do it. Oh, How much confetti does it say to do? Put on always. And then I'm going to put it back. It needs analysis. And then when I mark that stage complete, it should kick up some confetti. Oh, it didn't kick up the confetti. Why? Because I didn't reload my path. There's my confetti. Woohoo! Virtual happy days. All right, let's see. If I verified it right. I added some junk to it, so let's see if it catches that junk and it doesn't like the bed pugs or not. Might not. No. Might not like me making it pretty. I like to make it pretty.
Looks like I'm missing a previous step. I have an error message.
What does it say?
Required fields are missing macaroon flavor.
That was one of the earlier projects that you had to do.
Yeah.
But I don't, maybe you made that, maybe you made that field required.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So check your object first, go back and see, because it sounds like, where did that error message come up? When you validated it or when you created the opportunity itself? Like when you tried to edit the opportunity, when did that error message come up?
When I was trying to get the confetti, trying to hit closed one or proposal and mark as current stage.
I bet you you just need to edit your opportunity and add that field data. Macron.
Okay.
Oh my God, it wants that particular. Look at that one. Mon Dieu Seigneur. It always wants the details it needs. See, required sucks. Did I mention, I think some of the knuckleheads at Trailhead team don't know jack about sales. Put all these hard rails. Has nothing to do with learning this stuff. All right, office power general assign the record. Oh, I got to change the record type to blah, blah, blah. Course, sorry.
I got it. I just had to choose raspberry macaroon flavor, and now I have confetti.
Beautiful. All right, questions, comments, concerns. So that's the path. I love the path, by the way. I think the path is the game changer in sales. Ta-da! All right, so check that, burn 100 points, and we'll go from there. All right, so last little bit on this is about working with opportunities in the Kanban view. We only got 10 minutes. I don't think this will take but a minute. So let me see what the challenge is here. So again, what I love about this is again another way to look at your list views to see how it works. So what I love about the Kanban view, if I go to my opportunities tab, and then I'm going to go to my opportunities and then change the display to the Kanban view. It's a really great visual to show where all my money's at. And you really want to try to, like, as a salesperson, the goal is to keep filling the funnel. So if you got 330,000 here and 675 there, man, you need some more money coming in down the road. Yeah. Okay. So it's looking for us to create a list view, which I know you can. So we're going to select the fields of the display. You want the name, amount, expected revenue, and owner full name. All right, let's do that. So I want select fields to display, opportunity name, amount, expected revenue, and owner full name. I hate owner alias. Don't need the stage, don't need the close date. Opportunity name, amount, expected revenue, owner full name. Okay. Oh, good deal. I didn't even realize that. Kanban, you bastard. All right. So we're going to add a filter where the probability is over. I only want to see probability. I hate probability, by the way, until you're in negotiation stage. It's a bullshit field. Greater than 20. Is that right? 20? Yeah. Then we're going to add a chart. Vertical bar chart. Click my gear. All right, so I want my United Oil plant. Here it is under B2B, United Oil. So it's really great. What I need to put it in negotiation review. Value proposition is where it needs to be. We ain't got no value proposition. Drag the card for United Oil Plant standby generators. Let's see if I got that one. Booyah. It's got my two record types up here. Where is that opportunity? Hey. Oh, I got my filter kicking it out. Greater or equal. See, I can't see it. And I'm like, where is it? It's got to be there. It's greater than or equal. They finally did it correct. Now I save it. I can see where it's at. Mon Dieu Seigneur. Look at that. So I dragged it from qualification. From needs analysis to value proposition. So now it's a value prop. And now I can verify step. Let's see how that works. All right. So the Kanban view just works. I love the Kanban view because you can work an opportunity. You can see them visually to see where all that money lies and see if you got. So I got nothing earlier because 20% is needs analysis. So I don't want to see all that junk right now. I'm at the second half of the month and I'm moving all of these to the finish line as fast as I can. Woohoo! All right. So that completed that trail. I'm going to go back to the trail mix. Hopefully. And then I think the next little project is process builder. Yeah. So this one I want you to do. So get ready to copy and paste this on your own or with others. So the quick start process builder is your assignment. And if you can do the next one, that's even better. Let's see what the next little project is. Build a discount approval process. That's another little project to kind of match what we just did. And then we'll talk a little bit about Service Cloud and how this automation, and then there's going to be a project called Build the Battle Station app, which I think is a fun one for you guys to do. So we're going to do a little bit next week on this approval process again as a review. And then we'll talk about how this automation affects some of the, how automation affects the lead process as well as the case process and those automation things. Questions, comments, concerns before we shut her down for today? Right, awesome. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. I'll see you on Thursday. Remember to actually do both of these. Build a discount approval process because we already did it once. And this would be the kind of a good review for you. And those are your two assignments. So, all right, I'll see you guys Thursday. Thank you so much. We're getting down to the wire where we kind of covered all the big things, and we'll start doing test reviews as a way to review the material itself. But get your hands in that org and take a good look at what you got going. All righty? All right, guys. Stay calm and wash your hands.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Gil. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.